Hi, hello. Yes, friends. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Voice check, voice check. Hi, hello, voice check. चेक करो लाइव. हेलो फ्रेंड्स, कैसे हो आप सब? इट इज़ 5 p.m. 5 p.m. and 3 minutes. And एक सेकेंड. ओके, दिस इज एन ऑप्शन टू. ये ऑप्शन दिखा रहा है शेयर स्क्रीन का. तो मैं स्क्रीन शेयर करना सिलेक्ट टैब. विंडो एंटायर स्क्रीन ही सेलेक्ट कर लेता हूँ. ऑल्सो शेयर द ऑडियो सिस्टम. ठीक है, इसको भी ऑन कर दिया हूँ मैं. ठीक है, सेलेक्ट कर लिया हो एंटायर स्क्रीन. ठीक है, शेयर कर रहा हूँ. सो ठीक है, यहाँ पर मैं लाइव हूँ. 1 मिनट के लिए मैं स्टॉप शेयरिंग करता हूँ. जाके कमेंट्स पढ़ लेता हूँ सबके. ठीक है, नॉर्मल सी चीज़ है. ठीक है, आई जस्ट शेयर माई स्क्रीन. सेलेक्ट. ऑल्सो शेयरिंग द ऑडियो. ऑडियो सिस्टम हो ना हो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ओके, I will just open my WhatsApp. Wait, not WhatsApp. I'm stopping share right now. ठीक है. So hi friends, today we will talk about the book Psychology of Money. It has how many chapters? I guess. हाँ, कमेंट सेक्शन इसलिए काम नहीं करेगा क्योंकि स्टार्टिंग में मिनिमम शायद 50 सब्सक्राइबर्स की कुछ चाहिए. सो इफ़ यू हैव 50 सब्सक्राइबर्स ओनली आफ्टर दैट यू गेट ऑल द ऑप्शन. मुझे भी लाइव और कमेंट्स के ऑप्शन है ही नहीं. आई डोंट हैव एक्सेस टू दिस फीचर. सो या, ऐसा कुछ चल रहा है. एक सेकंड में अपने आप को वो जो बुक है वो शेयर कर दूँ तो कि सब लोग को मिल जाए उसका कॉपी आइडिया. शेयर कर देता हूँ. हाँ, वही 50 सब्सक्राइबर के बाद ही आने वाला है, उसके पहले नहीं आएगा. फैन फैन चालू है. कितना है बैकग्राउंड नॉइज? ज़्यादा आ रहा है, कम आ रहा है? क्योंकि यहाँ पे मैंने कोई एक्सटर्नल माइक पीस लैपटॉप का ही माइक यूज़ हो रहा है ना, और कोई माइक यूज़ नहीं हो रहा है. एक्सटर्नल माइक अभी तक लगाया नहीं हूँ. हेलो, 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 हेलो. इतना ही आ रहा है ना? चालू तो है पीछे. चालू किया है. पंखा बंद कर देता हूँ. अच्छा, आवाज़ ठीक है. अभी अभी कितना आ रहा है? अभी बेटर रहेगा शायद. अभी थोड़ा बेटर हुआ रहेगा. पंखा बंद हो गया ना. अच्छा, ठीक है. ओके, अभी बेटर आएगा थोड़ा. मेरे लैपटॉप का फैन चालू हो गया बहुत टाइम बाद. इतने टाइम से इतना प्रोसेस नहीं किया था ना. उसका फैन चालू होगा, उसके फैन की आवाज आ रही है। हवा हवा दे रहा है पीछे से, थोड़ा थोड़ा गरम गरम। ठीक है, चलो देखते साइकोलॉजी ऑफ मनी। तो फ्रेंड्स देखो, साइकोलॉजी ऑफ मनी जो है वो लिखा गया है मॉर्गन हाउसल के द्वारा। मॉर्गन हाउसल ने इस किताब को लिखा था। और इसकी कुछ, अगर कैसी किताब है अगर देखना है आपको, तो इट इज़ अ टाइमलेस लेसन ऑन वेल्थ, ग्रीड एंड हैप्पीनेस। वेल्थ तो आपको पता है वेल्थ क्या होती है, ग्रीड लालच, और हैप्पीनेस, इसके ऊपर एक बहुत बढ़िया किताब है ये। तो आइए जानते हैं। और इसमें हॉवर्ड मार्क्स ने लिखा है कि हाउसल्स ऑब्जर्वेशंस ऑफन हिट द डेली डबल। दे से थिंग्स दैट haven't been said before, and they make sense। मतलब ऐसी ऐसी चीजें जो हम नॉर्मल लाइफ में देख नहीं पाते, छूट जाती है हमारे हाथ अपने, हमारी आंखों से, हमारी नजरों से, वो सारी चीजों को ऑब्जर्व करके मॉर्गन हाउसल ने एक बहुत ही बढ़िया किताब लिखी है। ठीक है। आई होप आई एम ऑडिबल। या आपकी वॉइस बहुत कम बता रहा है मेरे साइड पे, ऐसा लग रहा है। ठीक है, एनीथिंग, देख लेता हूँ, एक बार चेक कर लेता हूँ मेरे साइड से। बेटर। ना लाइव अगर दिखना है तो कैसे दिखेंगे। ये रहा। अच्छा ऐसा है। ओ। अच्छा 10 सेकंड का लैग चल रहा है। 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 फाइन। तो इसकी सेटिंग्स को चेंज कर सकते हैं क्या, उसे एडिट करके। इसको, हाँ, सेव। अभी शायद कमेंट सेक्शन ऑन हो जाएगा। अच्छा हुआ हुआ हुआ। Slow mode is on. So, hi NDS, hi friends. Today we are discussing about a book named Psychology of Money, Money by Morgan Housel. Housel, I guess right. Today we are mhm, discussing about a book named Psychology by Morgan Housel. नाम से ही मॉर्गन हाउस। ठीक है, चलिए भेज देते हैं। सो ठीक है, कंटिन्यू करते हैं। ये जो बुक है, इट इज बाय मॉर्गन हाउसल। फॉर माई पेरेंट्स हु टीच मी, ग्रेचन हु गाइड्स मी, माइल्स एंड रीस हु इंस्पायर मी। ओके, इसके इंडेक्स में अगर हम जाएंगे इस किताब के, तो इंट्रोडक्शन में एक स्टोरी है, ठीक है। द ग्रेटेस्ट शो ऑन अर्थ ऐसे करके नाम से एक स्टोरी है। नो वंस क्रेजी, कोई पागल नहीं है, इसका एक ये एक टॉपिक है। लक एंड रिस्क। लक मतलब लक को हम क्या बोलेंगे, हमारा लक, लक को लकी बोलेंगे। लक एंड रिस्क, रिस्क मतलब रिस्क। ठीक है, हिंदी वर्ड याद नहीं आ रहा है अभी, देखते। थर्ड इज नेवर इनफ, कभी पूरा कभी भी इनफ नहीं हो रहा है, ठीक है। फोर्थ इज कंफाउंडिंग कंपाउंडिंग। फिफ्थ इज गेटिंग वेल्दी एंड स्टेइंग वेल्दी। सिक्स्थ इज टेल्स यू विन। सेवेंथ इज फ्रीडम। एट्थ इज मैन इन द कार पैराडॉक्स। नाइन्थ इज वेल्थ इज व्हाट यू डोंट सी। वेल्थ इज व्हाट यू डोंट सी। टेंथ इज सेव मनी, पैसे बचाओ। 11th is reasonable is greater than rational. Okay. 12th is surprise. 13th is room for error. 14th is you will change. 15th is nothing's free. And 16th is you and me. 17th is the seduction of pessimism. 18th is when you will believe anything. 19th is all together now. And 20th is the confession. Postscript, a brief history of why the US consumer thinks the way they do. Endnotes, acknowledgement, publishing details. Take it. So I will read this and I'll try to explain also. So there are two quotes over here in this book in the starting. So the first quote says it is by Napoleon. A genius is the man who can do the average thing when everyone else around him is losing his mind. See, a genius. Who is a genius? A genius is the man who can do average thing. Who can do average thing when everyone else around him is losing his mind. जब वो इंसान जीनियस है, जब वो कोई नॉर्मल चीज कर पा रहा है और उसके आजू बाजू जितने भी लोग हैं वो अपने दिमाग की शक्तियों को इस्तेमाल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, खो जा रहे हैं, डिप्रेस हो रहे हैं, ऐसे बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है। सेकेंड कोट, द वर्ल्ड इज फुल ऑफ ऑब्वियस थिंग्स, और ये बहुत अच्छा कोट है। द वर्ल्ड इज फुल ऑफ ऑब्वियस थिंग्स which nobody by any chance ever observes. The world is full of obvious things which nobody by any chance ever observe. ठीक है, बाय शर्लॉक होम्स। तो दुनिया में ऑब्वियस चीजें हैं लेकिन कोई उसे देख नहीं पाता। तो यस, यस, यस। 10 सेकंड का लैग है, चैट में 20 सेकंड का लैग है और वीडियो में आई गेस 10 सेकंड का लैग है। 10 सेकंड की मैंने शायद कुछ उससे सही कुछ तो शेयर किया है। यस, 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 बिल्कुल ऐसे ही साथ बनाए रखिए, इसी तरीके से सपोर्ट करते रहिए। और लोगों तक आप मेरी लिंक को शेयर करिए आगे अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ, फैमिलीज के साथ। इस चैनल पे आपको बहुत सारी किताबों के बारे में जानने मिलेगा, बहुत सारा इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगा, बहुत सारी चीज़ें, साइकोलॉजी, इकोनॉमिक्स, बिजनेस, एवरीथिंग। जितना आपको जो जो चीज़ आप बस कमेंट सेक्शन में लिख दो, आपके लिए मैं वीडियो बनाऊंगा। Write down in the comment section. Come on, come on. Come on. Write down in the comment section. ठीक है, यहाँ पे लाइव चालू है, लाइव चालू है, लाइव चालू है। So yes, the greatest show on earth. Okay, the introduction is the greatest show on earth. I spent my college years working as a valet at a nice hotel in Los Angeles. One frequent guest was a technology executive. He was a genius, having designed and patented a key component in Wi-Fi routers in his 20s. Now, how I will go is I will just keep 30 पे करना नहीं है भाई. Wait a minute. 30. Wait a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. So I spent my college years working as a valet at a nice hotel in Los Angeles. One frequent guest was a technology executive live है, जो कैमरे में दिख रही है. So I spent my college years working as a valet at a nice hotel in Los Angeles. Okay. It is an introduction. The introduction is the great show on earth. So we have two subscriber over here. Uh, One frequent guest was a technology executive at that hotel. He was a genius, have designed and patented a key component in Wi-Fi routers in his 20s. Okay. He had started and sold several companies. बहुत सारी कंपनी उसने बनाई और बेची. He was wildly successful. He was very successful. He also had a relationship with money I would describe as a mix of insecurity and childish stupidity. He was having a very weird relationship with the money. He also had a relationship, okay. He carried a stack of $100 bills. What is $100 bills? It's a big stack of money. He carried a stack of $100 bills, several inches thick. He showed it to everyone who wanted to see it, and many who didn't. He bragged openly and loudly about his wealth, often while drunk and always apropos of nothing. He used to brag his money every time, and whenever he used to drink, he used to brag it more. One day he handed one of my colleagues several $1,000s of cash and said, "Go to the jewelry store down the street and get me few $1,000 coins." I repeat, one day he handed over one of my colleagues several $1,000s of cash and said, "Go to the jewelry store down the street and get me a few $1,000 gold coins." An hour later, gold coins in hand, the tech executive and his buddies gathered around by a dock overlooking the Pacific Ocean. They then proceeded to throw the coins into the sea, skipping them like rocks, cackling as they argued whose went furthest just for fun. Days later, he shattered a lamp in the hotel's restaurant. उसने एक लैम्प तोड़ दिया होटल में. A manager told him it was $500 lamp and he had have to replace it. मैनेजर ने बोला कि इस लैम्प की जो प्राइस थी वो थी $500 और आपको इसके पैसे देने होंगे. ठीक है, जस्ट अ सेकंड. ओके. सो लैम्प टूट गया था और जब लैम्प टूटा तो पैसे तो देने पड़ेंगे. ऑफ कोर्स जो भी चीज तोड़ो तो उसके पैसे तो देने पड़ेंगे. You want $500? Executive asked incredulously. समझ में नहीं आ रहा. ओ. आ, ठीक है, धीरे धीरे समझ में आएगा. ऐसे पहले दिन स्टार्ट है ना, अभी अभी बेसिक्स है. अभी एकदम बेसिक पढ़ा रहा हूँ, अभी कुछ नहीं. अभी जो डाउट रहेगा आप क्लास के बाद पूछना, आराम से बताऊंगा. ठीक है. तो यू वांट $500? द एग्जीक्यूटिव आस्क्ड incredulously. क्या पूछा है एग्जीक्यूटिव ने? कि तुमको $500 चाहिए? While pulling a brick of cash from his pocket and handing it to the manager. Here's $5,000. Now get out of my face and don't ever insult me like that again. उसने क्या बोला कि 5,500 चाहिए ना तुमको, $500 चाहिए ना. उसने पॉकेट से ऐसे पैसे निकाले और कितने निकाले? $5,000 निकाले. और नाउ गेट आउट ऑफ माय फेस. उसने बोला मेरे नजरों के सामने से, मेरे चेहरे के सामने से तुम हट जाओ. And don't ever insult me like that again. You may wonder how long this behavior could last, and the answer was not long. I learned years later that he went broke. समय के साथ वो bankrupt हो गया, गरीब हो गया. The premise of this book is that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and lot to do with how you behave. And behavior is hard to teach. And even to really smart people, behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. A genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. The opposite is also true. Ordinary folks with no financial education can be wealthy if they have a handful of behavioral skills that have nothing to do with formal measures of intelligence. यहाँ पे आवाज आ रहा है बैकग्राउंड नॉइस सो यहाँ पे बताया गया है कि जो नॉर्मल स्टडीज नॉर्मल एजुकेशन करते हैं जरूरी नहीं है कि उसी से हम अमीर बन सकते हैं या उसी से हम जो आगे बढ़ सकते हैं। ठीक है, बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि बहुत सारे जीनियस लोग होते हैं लेकिन वो इतना फाइनेंशियली अच्छा नहीं कर पाते हो, उतना उनको बिहेवियर उनका सही नहीं हो पाता, भले इंटेलेक्चुअली बहुत स्मार्ट हो लेकिन बिहेवियरली वो फेल हो जाते हैं। और बहुत बार ऐसे होते हैं जिनके पास कोई एजुकेशन नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी वो लोग जो है आगे जाके फाइनेंशियली सक्सेसफुल हो जाते हैं डिस्पाइट दे डोंट हैव any big education. Okay, my favorite Wikipedia entry begins Ronald James. So अभी मैं read कर लेता हूँ, उसके बाद समझाऊंगा। Ronald James Reed was an American philanthropist, investor, janitor, and a gas station attendant. Ronald Reed was born in rural Vermont. He was the first person in his family to graduate high school, made all the more impressive by the fact that he hitchhiked to campus every day. For those who knew Ronald Reed, there wasn't much else worth mentioning. His life was about as low key as the sun. Reed fixed cars as a gas station for 25 years and swept floors at J.C. Penney for 17 years. He bought a two-bedroom house for $12,000 at age 38 and lived there for the rest of his life. He was widowed at age 50, never remarried. A friend recalled that his main hobby was chopping firewood. Okay. Reid died in 2014, age 92, which is when the humble rural janitor made international headlines. 28 lakh 13,503 Americans died in 2014. Fewer than 4,000 of them had a net worth of around over $8 million when they passed away. Ronald Reid was one of them. In his will, the former janitor left $2 million to his stepkids and more than $6 million to his local hospital and library. Those who knew Reid were baffled. Where did he get all that money? It turned out that there was no secret, there was no lottery, and no inheritance. Reed saved what little he could and invested it in blue chip stocks. Then he waited for decades on, and as tiny saving compounded to more than $8 million. That's it from janitor to philanthropist. A few months before Ronald Reed died, another man named रिचर्ड वॉज इन द न्यूज। सो अभी रोनल्ड रीड के बारे में समझेंगे। रोनल्ड रीड कौन था? सो रोनल्ड रीड एक जैनिटर था जो एक रूरल जगह से आता था और रोनल्ड रीड के पास बहुत कम पैसे थे, मतलब नॉर्मल नॉर्मल बैकग्राउंड से था। पहला आदमी था जो अपने फैमिली में एक हाई स्कूल से पास हुआ था और एंड में जाके रोनाल्ड रीड ने ज़्यादा पढ़ाई भी नहीं की थी, लेकिन एक नॉर्मल पर्सन था और धीरे-धीरे उसने अपने पैसे को इन्वेस्ट किया था ब्लू चिप स्टॉक्स में। और ब्लू चिप स्टॉक्स में इन्वेस्ट करते क्या हुआ कि जब वो मरा, जब उसकी डेथ हुई, तो उसके पास $8 million जमा हो गए थे, जिसमें से उसने कुछ चीज़ शायद डोनेट किया, हम आगे देखेंगे। तो दैट इज़ अबाउट रोनाल्ड रीड। रोनाल्ड रीड के पास कोई बड़ी एजुकेशन नहीं थी, उसने धीरे-धीरे करके लाइफ के एंड तक उसने पैसे जमा किए इन द सेंस उसने इन्वेस्ट किए और वो कंपाउंड होते गए और कंपाउंड के बाद उसे $8 million के करीब कुछ मिला। ओके, रिचार्ड फुस्कॉन वाज एवरीथिंग रोनाल्ड रीड वाज नॉट। अब एक दूसरा इंसान है रिचार्ड फुस्कॉन करके, ठीक है। So Richard Fuscon was everything Ronald Reid was not. A Harvard educated Merrill Lynch executive with an MBA. Harvard educated Merrill Lynch executive with an MBA. ठीक है। Fuscon had such a successful career in finance that he retired in his 40s to become a philanthropist. Former Merrill Lynch CEO David Komsky praised Fuscon's business-savvy leadership skills, sound judgment, and personal integrity. Crane's Business magazine once included him in the 40 under 40 list of successful business people. But then, like the gold coin skipping tech executive, everything fell apart. In the mid 2000s, Fuscon borrowed heavily to expand an 18,000 square foot home in Greenwich, Connecticut that had 11 bathrooms, 2 elevators, 2 pools, 7 garages, and cost more than $90,000 a month to maintain. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. The crisis hurt virtually everyone's finance. It apparently turned Fuscons into dust, high debt, and illiquid assets left him bankrupt. I currently have no income, he alleged told a bankruptcy judge in 2008. First, his Palm Beach house was foreclosed. In 2014, it was the Greenwich Mansions turn. 5 months before Ronald Reid left his fortune to charity, Richard Fuscon's home, where guests recalled the thrill of dining and dancing atop a see-through covering on the home's indoor swimming pools, was sold in a foreclosure auction for 75% less than an insurance company figured it was worth. Ronald Reid was patient. Richard was was pleading. That's all it took to eclipse the massive education and experience gap between the two. The lesson here is not to be more like Ronald and less like Richard. Though that's not a bad advice, the fascinating thing about these stories is how unique they are to finance. In what other industry does someone with no college degree, no training, no background, no formal experience, and no connection massively outperform someone with the best education, the best training, and the best connection? I struggle to think of any. It is impossible to think of a story about Ronald Reid performing a heart transplant better than a Harvard-trained surgeon or designing a skyscraper superior to the best trained architect. There will be there will never be a story of a janitor outperforming the world's top nuclear engineers. But these stories do happen in investing. The fact that Ronald Reid can coexist with Richard Fuscon has two explanations. One, financial outcomes are driven by luck, independent of intelligence and effort. That's true to some extent, and this book will discuss it in further detail. Or two, and I think more commonly, that financial success is not a hard science, it's a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. Okay, it's a soft skill where how you behave is more important than what you know. So your behaviors matters more in the financial success. Your behavior matters more than your intellectual success, I guess. I call this soft skill the psychology of money. The aim of this book is to use short stories to convince you that soft skills are more important than the technical side of money. I'll do this in a way that will help everyone from Reed to Fiscal and everyone in between make better financial decisions. These soft skills are, I have come to realize, greatly underappreciated finances. I those soft skill are, I have come to realize, greatly underappreciated. The soft skill keys like इतना सॉफ्ट स्किल्स को उतना ध्यान नहीं दिया जाता है लेकिन दे आर हाईली अंडर अप्रिशिएटेड. ठीक है. Drink some water. I'll get some water. Back to the start. Hi guys. So, So finance is overwhelmingly taught as a maths-based skill where you put in data into formula and the formula tells you what to do and it's assumed that you will just go do it. Now this is true in personal finance where you are told to have a 6 month where you are put it at a formula and the formula tells you what to do and it is assumed that you will just go do it. This is true in personal finance where you are told to have a 6 month emergency fund and save 1% of your salary. It's true in investing where we know that the exact historical correlations between interest rates and valuations. Okay, okay. It's true in investing where we know the exact historical correlation between interest rates and valuations. And it's true in corporate finance where CFOs can measure क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? Where CFOs can measure the precise cost of capital. It's not that any of these things are bad or wrong. It's that knowing what to do tells you nothing about what happens in your head. It's that now this is a very good line. It's that knowing what to do tells you nothing about what happens in your head when you try to do it. Okay, I'll just highlight this. Two topics. Till now we have read something about read, and what are we reading? Richard Finson, I guess. Richard Fuscon. Okay. So the two topics impact everyone, whether you are interested in them or not. Two topics. Two topics impact everyone, whether you are interested in them or not. First is health, and second is money. Health and money. Health and money. Okay, sure. The healthcare industry is a triumph of modern science with rising life expectancy across the world. Scientific discoveries have replaced doctors' old ideas. Scientific discoveries have replaced doctors' old ideas about how the human body works, and virtually everyone is healthier because of it. The money industry, investing, personal finance, business planning is another story. Finance has scooped up the smartest minds coming from top universities over the last 2 decades. Financial engineering was the most popular major in Princeton School of Engineering a decade ago. Is there any evidence it has made us better investors? I have seen none. Through collective trial and error, over the years we learned how to become better farmers, skilled plumbers, and advanced chemists. But has trial and error taught us to become better with our personal finance? Are we less likely to bury ourselves in debt, more likely to save for a rainy day, prepare for retirement, have realistic views about what money does and doesn't do to our happiness? Deep question. The questions are: has trial and error taught us to become better? Has trial and error has taught us to become better with our personal finance? Number one, are we less likely to bury ourselves in debt? Don't know. More likely to save for a rainy day. I haven't seen many people saving for the rainy day, though it's an advice that you have to do it like 6 months. Prepare for retirement. Have realistic views about what money does and doesn't do to our happiness. I have seen no compelling evidence. I have seen no compelling evidence. Most of the reason why I believe is that what we अरे यार बस कर रही है. Sorry for the background noise. So, most of the reason why I believe is that we think about and are taught about money in ways that are too much like physics with rules and laws. Most of the reason why I believe is that what we think about and are taught about money is in ways that are too much like physics with rules and laws and not enough like psychology with emotions and nuance deep, and that to me is a fascinating as it is important. Money is everywhere. It affects all of us and confuses most of us. Everyone thinks about it a little differently. It offers lesson on things that apply to many areas of life like risk, confidence and happiness. Few topics offer a more powerful magnifying glass that helps explain why people behave the way they do than money. It is one of the greatest shows on earth. My own appreciation for the psychology of money is shaped by more than a decade of writing on the topic. I began writing about finance in early 2008. It was the dawn of a financial crisis and the worst recession in 80 years. To write about what was happening, I wanted to figure out what was happening. Okay. But the first thing I learned about the financial crisis was that no one could accurately explain what happened or why it happened, let alone what should be done about it. For every good explanation, there was an equally convincing rebuttal. Engineers can determine the cause of a bridge collapse because there is agreement that if a certain amount of force is applied to a certain area, the area will break. Okay. Okay. Physics isn't controversial. It's guided by laws. Finance is different. It's guided by people's behavior. And how I behave might make sense to me, but look crazy to you. The more I studied and wrote about the financial crisis, the more I realized that you could understand it better through the lens of psychology and history, not finance. Physics isn't controversial, it's guided by laws. Finance is different, it's guided by people's behavior. And now it makes sense to me, but look crazy to you. The more I studied and wrote about financial crisis, the more I realized that you could understand it better through the lens of psychology and history, not finance. D. To grasp what why people bury themselves in debt, you don't need to study interest rates. You need to study the history of greed, insecurity, and optimism to get why investors sell out at the bottom of a bear market. You don't need to study the math of expected future returns. You need to think about the agony of looking at your family and wondering if your investments are imperiling their future. I love Voltaire's observation that history never repeats itself. Man always does. It applies so well to how we behave with money. In 2018, I wrote a report outlining 20 of the most important flaws, biases, and causes of bad behavior. In 2018, I wrote the report outlining 20 of the most important flaws. 20 of the most important flaws, biases, and causes of bad behavior I have seen affect people when dealing with money. It was called the psychology of money, and over 1 million people have read it. Okay. This book is a deeper dive into the topic. Some short passages from the report appear unaltered in this book. What you are holding is 20 chapters. Okay. So coming back. So coming back, it was called The Psychology of Money, and over 1 million people have read it. This book is a deeper dive into the topic. Some short passages from the report appear unaltered in this book. What you are holding is 20 chapters, each describing what I consider to be the most important and often the counterintuitive features of the psychology of money. The chapters revolve around a common theme but exist on their own and can be read independently. It's not a long book. You are welcome. Most readers don't finish the book they begin because most single topics don't require 300 pages of explanation. I would rather make 20 short points. You finish than one long one you go give up on we go. Okay, so that's it for today. And so that's it for today. This was our first live, and once we are we will move forward with the book. Today it was just the introduction part. Okay. Tomorrow we will go with the first chapter. No one's crazy. So in this book we have 20, I guess. Just a second. Uh, yes, we have 20 chapters. Each chapter having one story, its meaning, its importance. Okay. So yes, we will go with that. And yeah, that's it for today. I hope you like this, and please share and subscribe. And yes, all the best.